Well, so when I first heard this, the idea, I was very troubled because of the fact that we know that that there's a lot of evidence from the fossil record that woolly mammoths are matriarchal, that they have social structure just like modern elephants do, and so they would have had a learned culture that was passed on from generation to generation. And so again, is a cloned mammoth in a lab really a mammoth? Who's going to teach it to be a mammoth? What's that mammoth's culture? But then, I've increasingly been intrigued by the ecosystem function argument, right? That if these mammoths can help stave off catastrophic climate change, if they can make a tundra more resilient to climate change, and then suddenly, for me, that changes the argument a little bit. And I think it's also really important to remember that exactly what we're talking about when we talk about cloning a woolly mammoth. We're not talking about Jurassic Park. We're not talking about somatic cell nuclear transfer like they do with Dolly the sheep. Right? There are no intact cells in any of these abundant fossils. There's abundant DNA, and the woolly mammoth genome has been sequenced, but there's no way that you could clone a pure woolly mammoth, at least based on what everyone's been trying. So what's really happening is people are trying to make mammothy elephants. So they're taking an elephant and they're using CRISPR technology to insert particular genes into the elephant genome that we know are coded for mammothy traits like thick fur, red fur, a hemoglobin that is kind of like an antifreeze in the blood, small ears, things like that. So they're basically ways of making a transgenic elephant that's cold adapted to the Arctic. So it's a mammothy elephant. And so then the argument becomes, well, okay, if we have a mammothy elephant, are we opening up a bunch of new habitat that we can then, give to the elephants where they might be safe from poaching or, other conservation concerns? And so we might actually be able to potentially save the elephant as sort of an evolutionary lineage. And so, because the elephants used to be much more diverse, we used to have many, many more species in the Proboscidean line. And so that kind of changed a lot of my thinking as well, which isn't to say that we shouldn't have these important ethical discussions. But I do think that increasingly climate change is causing us to be creative. It's causing us to think outside the box. And these kinds of big picture ideas might be the way to go.